Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and Ron Placone. How are you?
Hi, Jim.
Yay,
Hey,
get
Jimmy.
your mug for Christmas right underneath. We're talking about broadband. We're talking about net neutrality. We're talking about all this stuff. There's a way to beat it. I thought about this, and here is the article that talks about it. This is from Government Technology magazine. It says, with voter approval for municipal broadband, Colorado City asks citizens how to proceed. So the voters chose to have their municipality, their government, which is really people. So the voters decided to allow the city to set up its own broadband service. Well, you want to see? 61% of Greeley residents who voted chose to give the city the opportunity to set up its own broadband service November 7th. Some wanted Greeley to mirror the Longmont model, where the city has its own broadband service and where more than 50% of the homes there have signed up for the city's service. It's impossible. I'm sorry, it's possible.
It is possible.
That's right. It is possible, and Colorado is already seeing this, that private internet providers like Comcast will start getting the message, increasing speeds and making big splashes in response to the rise of city-run internet in the state. It has already rolled out a high-speed package, but it's still more expensive than Longmont's service. Nearly 80 municipalities in Colorado have opted out of a 2005 state statute that prohibits cities from offering their own internet service. So that's a system where your government gets bought by corporations, and then they write laws to screw the people. These aren't laws that help the people. These aren't laws to make sure no abuse of the citizenry happens economically. This is the exact opposite. This is to make sure that the citizens get abused in favor of corporate profits.
Yeah, and this is such an important note to mention because let's keep in mind the cable companies have been planning for this day for a long time, and they tried to really, cross their T's and dot their I by having, policies like that prohibit people from building their own municipal broadband.
Yeah. So how can if it's a state law, you can now opt out of state laws. I think that's great that the I didn't know municipality. I thought that was the whole point of passing a state law was to be able to control the municipalities, the cities inside your state, and not let them do things that they want to do, which like give internet to people through the government. So some, like Longmont and Fort Collins this year, have gone all out in spending hundreds of millions of dollars on infrastructure to offer their own services. So it's, this is good news, A, but it's also scary news, B, to find out that so isn't it amazing that the people who voted to not allow cities to offer their own broadband get reelected? How the hell does that happen? How do people well, it's because there's no opposition party in the country. That's why. Both political parties represent management. That's why. So if there was a real people's party, a real workers' party, they would fucking come in and crush the people who voted for that. But the cities are opting out of that anyway, what's the point of passing the law if the city could just opt out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't understand. There's something more to that. But it's nice to hear that there are 80 municipalities in Colorado have opted out of it and are offering their own. So here, this is what is this, Ron?
So this is from multinetworks.org, where you can kind of go and you can look at the map, and it tells you where there is some municipal efforts, be it in the form of citywide cable or fiber, and it also shows you the states with barriers. Some of those policies we were talking about where states have barriers that prohibits municipals from doing that, because this is really going to be the next chapter in the net neutrality debate, no matter what happens on December 14th, is that, this is going to be the long-term fix for all this.
So the states in red are states with barriers.
They have barriers that prohibit people from doing stuff like that. But keep in mind, there were some folks that were ahead of the curve. The best internet in our country can be found in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They were ahead of the curve. They did municipal broadband a long time ago. They have affordable internet that's better than anything else you can get in the country. Sandy, Oregon's not far behind in second, and I'm pretty sure it's about $40 a month for some of the best internet you can get. So other municipals have got to follow suit. I mean, that's got to be the next step in this game because, I mean, keep in mind, the cable companies were way ahead of us thinking, oh, we're going to get these policies in place that's going to make sure our duopoly is protected indefinitely. Well, now, hopefully we win the fight for net neutrality, but either way, let's get a step ahead of them now and start building municipal broadbands. That's what I think needs to happen for a long-term fix for all this.
I totally agree, Ron. That was something that people overlooked. Cities can, in fact, it's better for business if cities provide free internet via Wi-Fi also.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've done studies, they figured it out that, so if you're in your car and you're working and you're going to a business appointment or something and you need to get on the internet, well, you can't now because you don't have a Wi-Fi or whatever. You have to pay extra to get a Wi-Fi wherever you are. Well, you could just do that now. You could just get on wherever you are in the city, and it helps everybody with business, so people do more business, meaning they have more commerce transactions, meaning they pay more taxes. So that's...
Yeah, well, and keep in mind, and this won't be the easiest sell in the world because of the way things work here, but there's going to be an increase in tax. There's going to be another bill to pay, but your internet bill that you have now where you're being price gouged by, customer service friendly Comcast or something similar, that's going to go away. You're not going to need that anymore. Instead, it's going to be a public utility that you have a say in because it's your own municipal broadband. And everybody that's tried it so far in this country has seen nothing but success.
Well, so it's like Medicare for all. Everywhere they do it, it's great, except we just can't get it here in the United States.
So in the places in the states that have tried it have done so successfully.
So why do you think it's such a slow rollout, Ron? Why, if Chattanooga, Tennessee did, so of course it doesn't get, this first I'm hearing of Chattanooga, Tennessee's municipal broadband service. So apparently the people who run the news media outlets don't want you to know about that. That's what that means.
They try to keep it a secret there. They don't want people to know. And Chattanooga is one of the most underrated towns I've ever been to, too, by the way. It's actually a really freaking cool place.
We should do a show there.
Yeah, Chattanooga's really neat. Yeah, I love Chattanooga. But I think part of it is because of just how skewed this conversation has been. I was listening to NPR the other night, and there was a net neutrality debate where on one side you had Brandon Carr, who's basically on par with Ajit Pai, wants to get rid of net neutrality. The opposition for the debate, which I didn't get to listen long enough to hear him, was Tom Wheeler. So they had a debate between two cable lobbyists.
Two cable lobbyists were debating net neutrality, and NPR calls that a debate.
Then NPR calls that a debate. And, of course, every listener submission was pro-net neutrality, and basically, and then you got this ridiculous, pro-industry lip service from Brandon Carr and probably later from Tom Wheeler.
Ben Mankiewicz's dad put together the NPR and made it into a great organization, and I think he would be spinning in his grave to see what the fuck has happened to the NPR.
Yeah, I mean, and even just in recent years.
Literally just in the last couple of years. So what Ron is talking about is the net neutrality is the biggest thing going on right now. NPR, which everyone thinks is non-biased, they think that they're giving you the true facts. That's what people think who listen to NPR. They have no idea that it's completely neoliberal corporate spin at NPR, 100%. I'll give you an example. So they didn't want to debate net neutrality. They bring on two people to debate net neutrality, both of them fucking from the corporate world. Both of them who want to get rid of net neutrality, right, Ron?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call a debate. That'd be like if you want to debate climate change and you bring on somebody who wants to, you bring on a coal industry person and you bring on an oil industry person, and you're going to call that a debate about climate change. It's not a debate. You're doing propaganda. Okay, that's right. So NPR does propaganda. That's right, I forgot. NPR, who didn't call torture up until about 5 seconds ago, because the government didn't want them to call it torture. They called it enhanced interrogation. So whatever the government tells NPR to do, they will do because they need their funding. So their NPR bends over backwards to appeal to Republicans because they also own their funding. in the
And
Congress.
the Koch brothers own
And the
some
Koch
of their funding
brothers.
now.
Yeah. So if you listen to NPR, they're one commercial after another for a bank or for the Koch brothers or for a fossil fuel industry. I wouldn't be surprised to hear payday lenders advertising on NPR pretty soon. But every horrible thing in the world, NPR. How many commercials can you run for a fucking bank and still call yourself a public radio station? The answer is endless because that's what they do here in Los Angeles.
Or we'll tell you the answer at 20 after the hour.
Ha! So we need to push people on the local level. We need to push our local governments to bring us broadband.
Well, I know in Fullerton, California, I remember in 2014 that they started to try to implement free Wi-Fi in the city. I'm trying to find out what was the fallout of that. It's kind of difficult, which I wonder if that's on purpose, if it's difficult.
Yeah, well,
if they don't want you to know if something
course.
is successful and they don't want it to get out. But, you're right, Jimmy. It is about commerce as well.
Yes. Well, it's not. It helps business. Mm-hmm. So when a city adopts free Wi-Fi broadband, which that's not what this is. This is them offering broadband at a fee.
Mm-hmm.
It helps everybody. So it helps everybody. It's like, so if it's an information superhighway, just like when the United States built the interstate superhighway system, the actual superhighway, not the cyber. What did that do? It helped business because now trucks can drive and carry stuff much quicker and faster. You have better roads.
Yeah,
So that helps business. So if you implement free Wi-Fi broadband in your city, that's better roads for people to do their business on, right?
Well, and municipal broadband, one scratches the other's back because it belongs to the community. So
Right.
you have a municipal option in your community where you're paying X dollars a month for great high-speed internet, and it'll probably force the competition out because you're going to get better internet at a better price. Typically, that's what we've seen in places like Chattanooga, Sandy, Oregon. Colorado's experimenting. Longmont's been successful. So that would happen, and then you'd be able to say, well, we want some free Wi-Fi zones. We want to be able to have Wi-Fi at our local park, and so one scratches the other back.
It's a class problem. If you're poor and you don't have access to the internet, how do you have access to the world? How do you have access to travel? How do you have access to our modern world? And so if you don't have access, and that's a conversation we've had a lot of times in classrooms where teachers say, hey, you have this assignment to take home. You need access to the internet, and you have people that don't have access. It's expensive.
Okay, there you go. Please make sure you click subscribe, click the bell, so we can give you you get a notice when our videos drop. Thanks for your support.